Hi everyone, welcome back to Hands-on History at home. You might remember me from a few weeks ago. I recognize some of you from that first session I gave. But just in case, my name is Chloe and I'm an intern at the Fort Vasquez Museum. And today we're going to be talking about some music that people played during the Gold Rush. So put in the chat, how many of you guys have heard of the Gold Rush? Oh, awesome. Sweet, that's great. So there were actually a couple of major gold rushes here in the United States. So the first one was in 1849, and it led people to move to California. And Colorado's gold rush happened 10 years later after that, in 1859. And it was what kickstarted massive migration and settlement here to Colorado. And it included the founding of Denver and Boulder on the plains and Idaho Springs up in the mountains. So if you guys ever want to go see a Gold Rush era mill, you can go look at the Argo Mill in Idaho Springs, which I think is pretty cool. The Gold Rush was the reason that Colorado was declared its own territory, and eventually the population of miners and other workers coming for the Gold Rush grew large enough that Colorado became a state. But did you know that before the 1860s, Colorado was part of the Kansas Territory? So we could have been part of Kansas. An old name for the Colorado's Gold Rush was the Pikes Peak Gold Rush, and a popular slogan for it was Pikes Peak or Bust. Even though most of the gold rush happened actually about 80 miles north of Pikes Peak, it was called this because Pikes Peak is easy to see from a lot of areas in the state, even from here in Greeley where I'm at. If it's really clear, you can see Pikes Peak. And so people were able to find where they needed to go using it and some of the old fur trade era forts like Fort Vasquez and Bent's Old Fort. And the first gold in Colorado was discovered by people of the Cherokee tribe who left it there and didn't touch it, but they told other members of their tribe that they had seen it. And a man who had gone to California in the first gold rush in 1849 was married to a Cherokee woman and heard about it through her, and ended up starting our rush in 1859 when he discovered gold in the town that we now call Inglewood. That's the reason that the first song I have for you today is called the Cherry Creek Immigrants Song. It's written about Cherry Creek, which goes through the city of Inglewood, as well as Parker, Denver, and a bunch of other cities down south of me. This one was written by a man called Stephen Foster, who wrote a lot of popular music back in the 19th century, and we still know a lot of his songs today, but this song is a new set of lyrics to his melody. So he didn't write the lyrics, but he did write the melody. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Then ho, boys, ho, to Cherry Creek we'll go. There's plenty of gold in the west, we're told, in the new Eldorado. We'll rock our cradles around Pikes Peak and search up the dust and for nuggets seek. If anyone asks us why we're there, we'll tell them that we're made as free as the air. Oh, boys, oh, to Cherry Creek we'll go. There's plenty of gold in the west, we're told, in the new Eldorado. The gold is there most anywhere. You can take it out rich with an iron crowbar. Where it is thick with a shovel and a pick, you can pick it out in lumps as big as a brick. Then ho, boys, ho, to Cherry Creek we'll go. There's plenty of gold in the west, we're told, in the new Eldorado. At Cherry Creek, if the dirt don't pay, we can strike our tents most any day. We know we're bound to strike a streak of very rich quartz among the mountain peaks. And ho, boys, ho, to Cherry Creek we'll go. There's plenty of gold in the west, we're told, in the new Eldorado. Oh dear girls, now don't you cry, we're coming back by and by. Don't you fret nor shed a tear, be patient, wait about 1 year. Then ho, boys, ho, to Cherry Creek we'll go. There's plenty of gold in the west, we're told, in the new Eldorado. Thank you. Thank you guys. That's very sweet of you. Yeah, I think it's fun. I feel like I've heard it somewhere before, even though I had to look really hard to find it. So I don't know if I heard it in a program about the gold rush I watched when I was still in elementary school, or I don't know. But it's a cute song. So that song was actually, the lyrics for that song were written in 1859. The song itself was written in 1854, but the lyrics were written specifically for Colorado's gold rush. Gold wasn't the only precious metal that was mined in Colorado's mountains, though. After about 10 years of looking for gold, it kind of started to peter down, but people found silver and realized that they could make a lot of money off of the silver that was in Colorado's mountains. So the next big wave of mining work and the founding of Glenwood Springs happened in the 1870s and 1880s. So the next song that I have for you is written about Glenwood Springs. And something that I love about this song is how clear it is that the mining booms made people so happy and gave them a lot of security, financial security, which is, very important. And I'm sure it made a lot of people's lives a lot better. So I think it's cool to watch lyrics of songs written in these time periods to get a sense of how people actually felt about things. Like the last song that I just sang, it is written a set of lyrics to an old tune. So I'm sure you guys know this song because we still hear this song pretty frequently. The original song was written in 1874, and the set of lyrics that I have was written in 1882. So this is called "Oh Give Me the Hills." Oh, give me the hills and the ring of the drills and the rich silver ore in the ground, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and many true friends will be found. Give me a steed and the rifle I need, hung from my own cabin door, with wood below where the one-lungers go. We'll camp on the banks of the Grand. Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Oh, give me the hills and the roaring sand mills and the riches that in the hills lie. Where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Oh, sorry about that, guys. But do you know that song? Yeah, so it's Kansas's state song, actually, "Home on the Range." But those lyrics are specifically written for Glenwood Springs, founded in 1882. So a lot of these songs' lyrics and the songs themselves aren't heard super commonly anymore. A lot of the music that I'm playing today was actually pretty hard for me to find. Historicity and making sure that it actually was written in the gold rush and for the gold rush was difficult to find. But one tune that has lasted that I'm not going to play today because I couldn't. I'll tell you more about it. But one tune that has lasted and is still played by a lot of old time and bluegrass musicians is called "Cripple Creek." It's a fiddle tune. And Cripple Creek was a popular site of the gold rush here in Colorado. But because it's been played all this time, there's an argument about if the tune is talking about Cripple Creek in Colorado or Cripple Creek in Virginia. Personally, I like to think it's talking about Cripple Creek in Colorado, but nobody wrote down when it was written or where it was written. So I decided not to play it because I didn't want to play a song that was actually written about Virginia in a presentation about Colorado's music. But you can find some awesome recordings of that song on YouTube. And I'll write it down in the chat, the name of it, so that you can look it up later. Since I'm not sure it's from Colorado, I won't play it today, but you can all go look it up. Oops, I think I accidentally sent it to somebody privately. I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out in a second. So the other reason that I think about that this song is actually talking about Colorado actually comes from the lyrics of the last song that I'm going to play for you before we open it up for questions. This song was written in Nevada during their gold rush, and it talks about an old Coloradan miner who did a thing called high grading. And high grading was when miners who didn't own the mine but were just working in it would take pieces of the gold and silver and put them in their lunch boxes and smuggle them out of the mine to go gamble with and spend elsewhere. Obviously doing that didn't make the owners of the mine very happy because they were losing a lot of money that way. So this song is called The High Grader, and it's fun because it's I don't know if you guys are familiar with this form of music, but it's called a narrative song. So it's a song that tells a story through the lyrics. It's one of my favorite traditions in folk music. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Way out in the state of Nevada, in a mining camp far out the way, there was a hobo, a Cripple Creek miner, struck for a job there one day. He was a fine-looking fella, a gentleman at once you could see. But he had a look on his face that said, "Nearer, my God, to thee." The boys, they all laughed when they saw him and started to throw the book on. For the book that they saw in his pocket was the Gospel according to St. John. He gave us a sermon each Sunday. He taught us to pray and to kneel. He said, "Leave the high grade to the company, 'cause only wicked men steal." He worked there just 3 months and 10 days. Then he said, "Turn in my time." He lent the boys most of his wages, so I said, "Here, pal, take some of mine." When he answered, his eyes, they were smiling with that "Nearer, my God, to thee" look. He said, "No, partner, now I'm a trustin' in Almighty God in this book." Well, the next morning I had the occasion to pick up his grift from the floor. It's a wonder I didn't get ruptured, and God knows he might have had more. Now he is bucking the tiger and say, "I hope he will win." For he was a mighty good mucker, if he did take a piece for a pin. So that song is called The High Grader. Thank you. And just to explain some of the lyrics, because they definitely use some language that we don't use anymore. The grift that I talked about is his lunchbox. And, you know, if he gets ruptured, it's because his arm almost fell off because it was so heavy because of all the ore in the box that he tried to pick up. And bucking the tiger is an old term that they used for people who would go and play a game kind of like poker. So thank you guys very much. So I hope you guys enjoyed all these songs. If you're interested in learning about more music from the Gold Rush, the book that I use to find most of this music, and which has a ton of other music from this period and from other periods in American history, is called American Folk Music, a Regional Encyclopedia. And it goes region by region in the United States, so it has songs from every state, and you can, it discusses the lyrics and what they mean and where the songs come from. And if you want it, you can check it out from the library, and when it's safe to go out again, and take a look at it yourself. So do you guys have any questions for me?
Okay. Where did you learn all these songs?
So I learned them just for this presentation, actually. I looked them up on the internet, and luckily this book has, that I mentioned, has a free preview on Google Play Books that happened to have a large part of it available for preview. And then I looked up the songs on YouTube from there, and then I learned them by ear and just printed off the lyrics for myself to make sure I wouldn't make a mistake.
Wow, that's cool. And what did you say was available at the library?
It's a book called The American Folk Music, a Regional Encyclopedia.
Very cool. All right, looks like we have a few other questions. Is it Ellen? Okay, I'm going to unmute you.
How did you learn to play guitar?
This is a new instrument for me. I've been teaching myself over the past couple weeks, actually. Just learning. I look up chord diagrams and then I try to play them. And then I just practice songs that I want to learn. And eventually I'm able to kind of play. I still make lots of mistakes, though.
All right, Maddie?
Out of all the instruments, why'd you decide to stop playing guitar?
I started playing guitar. I'm actually a fiddle player. That's my primary instrument. And I love the fiddle, but I can't accompany myself on the fiddle very easily. It's pretty hard, and it's not as interesting as the guitar or as versatile as the guitar. So I decided to do the guitar because it'll make it easier. Oh, a fiddle is a violin. It's the folk name for a violin, just because I see that question in the chat. So I decided to learn to play guitar so that I could do more of these presentations and help people and teach people songs from this era and accompany people and stuff. So that's why I decided to pick up the guitar.
That's great. Ben, do you have a question? All right.
Okay, I just wanted to ask, where did you find the book?
I looked it up. If you look it up on Google, there's a Google Play preview, but I know it's also available at some libraries. And it's kind of expensive because it's a textbook technically. So you wouldn't necessarily want to buy it because it's a little pricey. But you can find the book if you just look it up on Google.
Great. And then Madison, it looks like you maybe have a question. Your hand's up. I'm going to unmute you.
It's more of a comment. I play the guitar too, but I'm just a beginner.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. Do you like it so far?
Yes.
Great. Yeah, keep at it. It's hard.
And we can say thank you, Chloe, and a big round of applause.